Sixth comeback win of the season this past Saturday night for the Bears in improbable fashion against the Green Bay Packers. The Bears clinch a playoff berth this weekend at 11-4. Trista, who or what do you credit the most for the Bears' resilience this season?
Head coach Ben Johnson, Nick. Like, can you imagine how many of these comeback wins would have been losses if Eberflus was still coaching this group?
Oh, all of them.
All of them.
All of them. Yes, all of them.
Single one. Like late game executions, chef's kiss. Being under pressure, yes. Comebacks, just the nature of still staying gritty and not getting down on yourself. In-game problem solving and the development of Caleb to make the big boy throws no matter what's going on around you and not do the weird stuff that he did last year when it was clear he was going to be under duress the entire day.
Remember Thanksgiving last year when Matt Eberflus, or Matt Eberflus as I called him at the time, like didn't call that timeout against the Lions on Thanksgiving and they lost that game? Just what? I mean, you want to talk about a 180, like a quantum leap from the outhouse to the penthouse with Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson's an absolute stud. We can get into if you take him over other coaches in the NFC, but what? I agree, Ben Johnson does deserve a ton of credit. Maybe he ends up winning Coach of the Year, but I think we need to talk about Caleb Williams for a second also. And Caleb is not a perfect quarterback. He's not like where he needs to be yet, and please hear what I'm saying. Like, he's been excellent, but I think everyone, including he and Ben Johnson, would agree that there's still room for him to develop and like refine his game even a little bit more. But when you take where he's come from to now, with his obvious physical traits, like his unbelievable arm, like one of the best arms in the history of the National Football League, and his clutch playmaking, where he's been nails down the stretch of a lot of these games, I think it is the head coach, Trista. I also think the quarterback deserves a lot of credit.
1,000%. Like, if Caleb, think about how scary it is that the Bears, with all the injuries that they had in the early part of the year on defense, injuries on offense as well, and how much room Caleb Williams has to grow and how they've been able to still win these types of games against the Eagles, against the Packers in overtime. And you say to yourself, well, how scary could the Bears be moving forward?
Well, I think, let's say that Caleb gets to Jared Goff's level of processing, and Goff's been in the NFL for a long time, started a Super Bowl, obviously, was with Ben Johnson for multiple seasons. So if Caleb gets there mentally, and then you put the physical attributes that he has, and he's way more physically talented than Goff, I mean, I actually think the sky is the limit, and maybe they're going to be a juggernaut for years to come. But that's a conversation for a little bit down the road, because now we get to spin this forward, because the Bears are in the playoffs, and they're a huge favorite right now to win the NFC North, so probably going to host a playoff game on Wild Card Weekend. Still not out of it for the 1 seed. How seriously are you taking the Bears as an NFC threat to go to the Super Bowl?
I'm not. Here's the reason why.
Bears fans are going to say you're a hater for that. You know that, right?
And I am a hater. I just can't trust a team that constantly starts slow, that's always playing from behind, especially as you get up against elite quarterbacks and better coaching, and you have a thin margin of error, and it's win or go home. So this is a very dangerous team, but this is not a trustworthy team. Would I be absolutely baffled if they went to the Super Bowl? Yes. But at the same time, be like, well, that was kind of on par for the miracle that has been the Chicago Bears in the 25-26 season.
This would be like what this would be like maybe even bigger than the miracle on ice, the United States beating the Soviet Union in 1980. I don't think Al Michaels could say yes to that one if the Bears made the Super Bowl. And I'll say, you said you're a hater. I'm not trying to be one. I think the Bears are awesome. Like, the defense is just not good enough. Like, it just isn't yet. And that doesn't mean that with another offseason, you get a little more juice in the pass rush, that they can't be right at the top of the conference next year and be a legitimate Super Bowl threat. I think what's happened, like, this season is a success no matter what happens in the playoffs to maybe win the division, a tough division in year one. But the defense just isn't good enough to get them over the hump. So I'm saying I think they're great. Ben Johnson's the next great coach. Caleb Williams is the next great quarterback. The defense isn't good enough, Trista, to get them there this season.
No, not even close. And like, you're talking about a team that feels very Commanders-esque.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go that far. I won't go that far.
Last year, Commanders-esque in terms of how much everything has gone right. So what I would say is, like, enjoy this year, but you don't need to get back into the lab and continue to make tweaks in the offseason.
So I would maybe compare them a little bit more to the early C.J. Stroud Texans teams, and the Texans are going to make the playoffs this year. But I think the reason why I don't think the Bears will fall off like the Texans did, and Houston still made the playoffs last year, the Bears' offensive line is really good. And I think the difference between the Bears and the Commanders have one of the oldest rosters in the league, and I think people will look at them and say, well, you have Jaden Daniels, so they must be young. This was like AARP senior citizen roster here with a second-year quarterback. So I think the Bears are have a better chance of sustaining success than those other teams with a young quarterback that kind of came out of nowhere did. And I guess for now, last thing, when the Bears make the playoffs, the NFC is going to feature a couple Super Bowl winners at coach, Nick Sirianni and Sean McVay. You've got Kyle Shanahan, who maybe should have multiple Super Bowls already as a coordinator and a head coach. Matt LaFleur, if the Packers end up making it. This is going to be a loaded playoff in terms of coaches. Where would you rank Ben Johnson among those coaches?
Top 3 for me. Ben Johnson's awesome. I just want to point out about the offensive line. This was one of the worst offensive lines in football last year.
Yep.
So Ben Johnson has come in and transformed pretty much every single thing that you could imagine about this team in 12 months. I don't know if there's been a better transformation that has happened right away and really fixing the culture of Chicago football. I just cannot say enough amazing things about Ben Johnson.
Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan are two of the gold standard coaches.
Yes.
I don't think, and I love the way you phrased that top 3, which is very respectful to, I thought top five. I thought you were going to go with that. Very respectful to put him in the top 3. We can't put him over those guys yet, but have an awesome postseason, and we'll see. And also, I did love earlier in the year when he took his shirt off in the post-game locker room. I bet you low-key he was very excited to do that because he knows he's in good shape. Because when you're in good shape, no one's got to tell you to take your shirt off. I appreciated that from Ben Johnson also.